so that we can put this out for anybody else that has conflicts tonight and wanted to attend the meeting. It'll make for easy discussions. We're going to start off with Gary. Do you have the agenda handy? I didn't keep it up. Am I the first one on the agenda?
Yes. The first thing, I mean, it's a very informal agenda, but the first thing was to go over the board meeting from March 23.
Okay, and that's what I'm prepared to do. So given we have two board members here, Abby, pay attention.
I'm paying attention.
It was a very productive meeting. First of all, as a president, I commented on the very strong financial stability of the organization, probably the best we've ever been at in terms of having assets to support our patients. We mentioned and talked about the upcoming master class on May 11th, which is focused on social media. We introduced, or we have reiterated the two new board members. So we have Kim Marsh and Joe Coran, who have now joined our board and gotten very involved very quickly. Scholarship wise, I wanted to ask all the chapters, all of you, 2, 3, to be focused on raising money for the scholarships. That's where most of it comes from. And it has been a very popular program. When we look at web traffic, it is overwhelmingly to our scholarship page. And that page has not only the TRIO scholarship, but any other scholarship related to organ transplant or donation that we know of. We put that out there. So it's becoming quite a valuable resource for students. And obviously the word is getting out there and they are using it. And we now have some people coming to us that, would you add our scholarship opportunity out there? Absolutely. So I think there's about 7 or 8 scholarship opportunities out there for students, some local, but nevertheless, some ways of helping students. Highly recommend people to the very active Public Policy Committee, which has the report up on the website. And so we're not going to go into any detail there as much as say, make sure you're paying attention to it. We have a really great team working on public policy and keeping us aware and represented in some key coalition areas. The TRIO presentation library is now about to hit 180 of recorded presentations. And with one we just did today with CareDx on xenotransplant, that will give us number 180. And so it's been very exciting to see that grow. And we're looking for ways to monetize that in terms of sponsorship. The Post-Transplant Cancer Project, we reported close to 1/3 of a million hits so far on that site. We are asking all the chapters to share with their membership the opportunity to help us by submitting contacts from their transplant programs that we can send these brochures to advertise the program. And we have not found a way of getting contact information for the 600 transplant programs around the country. So we're doing it as a one-off, and patients, when they see their transplant program, can find out who we should send that to, pass that contact information to us. We send them a very nice package of like 50 to 100 brochures and also a copy of that children's transplant book as a gift. And so it's been very well received. We recommend also that you look at the TRIO website for, this is the TRIO Post-Transplant Cancer website, triowebptc.org, where we have under resources the video that was used to overview the program at the International Transplant Nurses Society meeting in October, and also a copy of the brochure is there. So you can use that to introduce it if you want to. I'll leave this to Gary to talk a little bit about our upcoming role in the July-August Transplant Games of America. And just in one final thing, we were talking about launching, using TRIO Oklahoma, a chapter as a model. Their chapter is based around a support group. And so Lorenda is heading up an effort to see if we can come up with a way of doing that on a national basis, because it is very useful. She's got a great following. How do we bring that up at a level where we're not close to a particular transplant program? So stay tuned for that. Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you. Do you want to talk a little bit about our role in publicizing 3 different things on our transplant table, our TRIO table at the Transplant Games?
Yeah, so I think everybody knows, I kind of feel like I can cut out a lot of what I was going to say because people are somewhat aware already, but the board did decide to go ahead with participating at the Transplant Games of America as an exhibitor. We will have a booth there, which gives us an opportunity to promote Trio. And some discussions have kind of been along the lines of, there are basically three things that we'd like to try to communicate to the attendees of the Transplant Games, which the first would be the post-transplant cancer program that we have. The second is the fact that Trio has chapters and we're looking to expand, giving people an opportunity to consider joining. And then the third item was the fact that we are now the organizers of Team USA going to the World Transplant Games in Perth, Australia next April of 2023. I kind of think personally that the last item will be a very interesting thing for folks, and that may kind of draw them in to get a little more information about the possibility of going to Australia, even if they ultimately don't have the money. I think people will still want to learn a little bit about that. And actually, separately from the exhibit, I am going to be doing an orientation to the World Games as one of the workshops there. So we'll have another opportunity to promote Trio a little bit more actively with those who are attending. What I was kind of hoping to do on this call was to see if any of the chapter folks might know of individuals who were planning on going, and maybe we could start to work on some thoughts on getting some volunteers to be able to help us with the booth. The first 2 hours, the first 2 days, we will need to have someone there. It's basically 9 to 5, 9 to 6, something like that. And then after the first 2 days, it's kind of up to us if we'd like to have people at the booth or if we want to just perhaps leave some materials there. So that's kind of where we are. And I was kind of, hoping that we might be able to rummage up some volunteers from people that we knew who were going.
Gary,
Yeah, Steve, sure.
we're having our SF Bay chapter meeting tomorrow, and I'll bring this up then.
Super. That would be great if people are going to be there, even if they just are willing to kind of help us out for a couple of hours at some point. That would be, give us an opportunity to stretch our legs and things like that. So.
And that's in San Diego?
Yes, it is. It's July 29th to about August 3rd or 4th. But the exhibit is going to be really on the 29th and 30th. After that, it's sort of more at our option.
Welcome, Jackie.
Hi.
Gary, I'll leave the rest of the meeting to you. I'm finished with my report.
Yeah, sure. So anyway, if people know of anyone going to the games, and if, we're also looking for some help with kind of what we could, ways to encourage people to stop by. We're planning on doing a giveaway. I think most likely it's going to be what is usually referred to as a rally towel. The last time Trio exhibited at the games, rally towels were very popular, so we're probably going to do that. I also have talked to the WTGF. Jim, I haven't had a chance to tell you this, but the WTGF may have some exhibit material that they can send to us to promote the Federation, which will give us some visuals to kind of draw people in a little bit.
Great, great.
Yeah. So, okay, well, again, if anybody's got any ideas.
Linda, you have your hand
Got
up?
your hand up?
Yeah, so, that's actually from our conversation that we had earlier yesterday. One of the reasons when I talked to Cheryl Manley, that is the manager of Team Oklahoma, and I brought up your name and she was like, oh, wow. And then we talked on the phone for an hour, and I know that they're going to have a big group of people going from Oklahoma, and they seem to always have one. So I brought it up. Well, we need volunteers. And if y'all are going to be there, I mean, can't we work together?
Yeah,
And that was a lot
exactly.
of our conversation too. So,
Great. Yeah, that would be really helpful. Like I said, I will be there. Jim will be there. Steve is, Steve, do you know when you're going down? And are you being there for the whole time?
I'm not sure about whether I'll be there for the whole time, but
Okay.
I intend to be there for sure.
Okay.
Steve, did you say you were driving down or?
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, okay. We were thinking some of the bulky stuff we might need for the table, we might send to you and you could bring it down as opposed to us carrying on a plane, but we don't know what
Okay.
that is yet.
Great. Well, if anyone has any other ideas, feel free to email me or give me a call or something like that. The other thing that I wanted to try to get some feedback on tonight was I've come up with, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. You guys probably have had a chance to look at this already. But just in case you haven't, I have been working on the chapter financial report that chapters need to complete. And it struck me after wrestling with trying to get chapters to get them in every year, it struck me that we were actually asking them for a lot of information that we really didn't need because we don't really do anything with it. So I decided that I was going to try to come up with something that was a little bit simpler and only really inquired about for information that we actually do need in order to kind of fulfill the requirements that we have as per our bylaws and our agreements and things like that. And that is basically we just need we need to know income that a chapter received from any fundraising events that they did, minus expenses, which is going to give you kind of a net number of which 10% is supposed to come to national. And then the other item is very simply your membership count. And I got some feedback from one chapter earlier today that sort of said, well, it's not practical. I also kind of wanted to make it clear to people as to when these forms were due, because, here we are now, April of 2022, and I think I've only received 2 forms so far for the last year for 2021. And this gets to be a problem because, especially with like membership, because I'm putting the cart before the horse. The comment I got back was that, well, all my members haven't paid by December 31st. So therefore I'm still chasing them in January and February, so I can't really report on them. And I suggested to the person who contacted me that this is really a snapshot kind of, this is your membership situation at the end of the year. And if you get members in January and February, they should count in the next year anyway, because they're actually paying their dues in the subsequent year. So we just need to kind of fix one particular time and kind of leave it at that. I don't know. Does that make sense to people, or
Do you have ours from Akron Canton Trio? Did we fill this out? Because I thought we did.
I'm not sure. I'd have to check, actually. I can check maybe while we're talking and see, but
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we've had just a terrible time getting everything back together, but we're trying.
Sure. Well, does anyone have any comments on this or thoughts on the revision in terms of trying to make it simpler? Does it make sense, or are there
David
still?
Hall, we're talking about the
I-
document that Gary sent out with the reminder, simplifying the reporting from a chapter. That's what the subject is. So just so you quick catch up with us.
I think it's great because it doesn't ask for as much information. I mean, you still have the pertinent information that you need. And then again, with the membership, I mean, our members don't pay dues, but we have them fundraise, and I get more money out of them fundraising on Facebook than I do $10.
Right.
I mean, $10 to a meeting once a month, but if they fundraise and they raise $300 or they raise $200,
Mhm.
that's how we kind of look at it. And our board's decided that as a board to do that. So
So I like that we just count who the members are in December of, December, by December 31st. And then when people pay and do membership, like January, February, whatever, then we count that for the next year.
Exactly. Yeah, and
Yeah, that would make it much easier.
yeah, I think so too, because I wasn't really sure, because it seems like every chapter has a different definition of what their membership year is, and that's okay, but it doesn't really sync up with what we're trying to do nationally, especially with, if we need, I don't know that we actually need any of this information to file our Form 990, but it's always better to have a point in time that you can kind of standardize on and say, okay, well, we had X members between members at large in our chapters as of December 31. And like I say, if people join or pay their dues in January, February, March, that's great. It'll be in the subsequent year.
Gary, maybe you should put into the form in row 12 where you have row 13, total income per year. You have a place where maybe you should put the year that you're talking about, which is year 2021, to avoid that confusion.
Okay. Sure, I can actually modify this every year and just change it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, any other thoughts or comments on this? I think, we won't be using this until the end of the year anyway. So if anybody, I may get some things later on, but so otherwise, yeah, good. So good. Okay, well, our agenda was very informal and brief. This is always.
Let's talk to the chapters that are here about what's going on in their chapter lives.
I was just going to say, yeah, this is always a
Okay.
very good opportunity to kind of find out what's going on. So, super.
Abby, you're in top row, what I'm looking at, so why don't you start
I'll
off? Your
start.
A's anyway.
Go Abby.
I'll start. So Trio Austin chapter just had a kickoff event at a local park here in Austin. We met a lot of people. I have been, I'm not going to say bombarded, but I've been bombarded by a lot of very interesting people. And by interesting people, I mean people who are, during my speech, in my introduction speech, I mentioned some short-term goals, of course, increasing membership, and didn't really tell my story. I left that to, the board. My board members have some great, living donor stories. But I did meet an individual from New Jersey who was a social worker here at the Heart Transplant Center, who wants me to look into, she heard that I wanted to do a hospitality house like Nora's house or Amy's house, and said, I have a lead for you. There is some land in your neighborhood, which is, I live central Austin. Like, we are very central. Everybody wants to be here. This is where the action happens, music, everything. And there is some land that was donated to go to a nonprofit, currently going to be used for Salvation Army, a children's home, and Big Brothers Big Sisters. And there's some land left over. And I've been very much predatory in trying to find where I need to find. Turns out the woman who is kind of in charge of that is somebody I'm already working with on another development project for the neighborhood. So I'm like, I already know Alice. So I'm really trying to get with her to find more information. So if I can get that lead to, maybe get myself into that world, that would be amazing. Because that's one of our long-term goals.
Abby, let me offer some insights to that.
Sure.
One, we have the other Trio Texas chapter that has the Nora's house.
Right.
And so you want to talk to them. The thing I want to make sure you understand, anybody that gets into this, and I've got another couple who are doing the same thing on their behalf. You can raise all the money you want and build that house, but that's like the top of the iceberg.
Right.
Every year, you're talking about an overhead cost that could approach $1 million. It depends on how big the house is, of course.
Yeah.
Local OPO has a house that's been in existence for 10 years. They have great donors, and I think they raise in the neighborhood of $2 million, which is what the cost is per year. So be very, very careful. Talk to somebody that's doing it on whatever scale you're thinking about, and just pay real attention, not just to the program to raise money to get it built, especially when you get land donated, but also the ongoing costs that are involved once you do that. Okay.
Yes.
That's a heads up.
Yes, and that led me to the second person who actually wants to possibly fund the project for a year. So these are things I don't want to just put off because again, I don't want to start at the top of the iceberg. I really just want to have these conversations with these people and find out, you know, well, how long is this going to be here for? And how long are you willing to be a sponsor? And why do you want to be a sponsor? It's all too good to be true for me for right now.
You're asking great questions. Good.
Yeah, I really want to get my facts and before I say, yes, we will do this, because I know this is the top of the iceberg. Do you think I want to start at the top of the iceberg? No, actually, I do not. So, what else? Oh, I have been working with Trio Temple, and we have created a list of all the support groups between basically south of Austin, all the way to Temple as a resource for patients. That's heart, liver, kidney. So we want to start by joining our resources and, you know, making sure that's available for the public. And I have also joined forces with, of course, North Austin Medical Center Transplant, the Seton Dell, the Dell Medical School, and then Seton Heart, which was magic. We're magic right now. So, and nobody has ever done that. They have never really kind of been brought together. They've always been these separate entities, and working with these social workers has been incredible. So yeah, been a little busy.
Very exciting. I would suggest, if you would, I haven't looked recently at your activity page on our national website. That's where people typically find our chapters. And when you put stuff like that you're working on there, updated on a quarterly basis, maybe, it's something that people would look at and say, wow, I want to join that group. So realize that's your honeypot to attract new members also.
I have a question while I'm here. Has anybody else been contacted by this woman who's trying to find participants for a kidney study?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I find this to be very, I don't know, Spanish. She's trying to have us find patients for her, but she is also a broker for a third party who's working for the study. I find this to be very messy, and I don't like it.
Fairly typical. I mean, the group that's doing the study outsources the recruitment of patients for the study. And obviously they've got a good grant because they're putting a lot of money behind. I think the $250 for a patient to participate in the interview.
Yep.
They match up, and it's rather specific requirements. And then they say, what, $75 as a finder's fee for you?
Yep, 75 or 100. Yeah.
And we got that invitation just yesterday. I responded saying we'd be interested. Let me see the flyer, let me see the details. And I'm surprised I haven't heard an answer back. I thought they were rather trying to do it quickly. And so I'm not sure what the sign of, but no reason to be suspicious. We're not investing any money. It seems like viable or a legitimate cause. And I can honestly tell you that many times I've participated in an interview for pay study, and yeah, they pay the money. So they've got a grant that is funding that incentive.
Okay.
So that's my experience.
Jim,
All right.
I didn't tell you because she wrote to you after she had called us. She left a voicemail, which she called late one night because apparently she's on the West Coast, this woman.
Yeah.
And it was a very rambling, almost incoherent voicemail. It kind of really freaked me out. She tried to leave her phone number and she kept messing the digits up, and I was like, it was strange because I know these people who try to recruit folks, they're usually, the organizations are pretty solid, but she could not even give me her phone number without having to go through 3 or 4
Very
times to
strange.
do it.
And
Mhm.
that's my experience with her. I felt
Yeah.
like she didn't kind of know what she was talking about, then circled back and said, let me email you the details. And when she emailed the details, she's actually working for a third party. So she must be getting money herself to bring patients in. And that's what I felt was kind of spammy, kind of
Yeah.
not trustworthy, because if, patient usually gets introduced to a study by a healthcare professional or their own physician or their nurse or their care team, not someone on the West Coast working for a third party who's working for the study.
Yeah.
But I just want to see if anybody else had interaction with her, because she is kind of all over the place.
Okay, thank you.
Mm.
Gary, back to you for selecting who's going to talk next.
Well, I don't know if we're seeing the same layout, but Lorinda is the next one on my screen. So everything good with you folks?
Well, I always have to stay busy. So, Trio, Oklahoma. So we have celebrated over 18 months of weekly meetings that we have. We have weekly peer-to-peer meetings. And we are now getting ready to start another weekly meeting to add to our Thursday meeting. We're going to have a Tuesday, Thursday peer-to-peer meeting because it's growing so much. And we have at least 25 people on Thursdays, and we have people that can't come on Thursdays. So we're seeing the need having the peer-to-peer because it really works in between the transplant hospital and the OPL, and it's really been missing in transplant. And we have our transplant, one of our transplant centers sends me everyone they have. All the liver people get to come my way, and now the lung and heart they're sending me the lung and heart, and the kidney. And kidney's a little different because of dialysis and some things, but I was the speaker at the Donate Life, the flag raising at the hospital. And I was for the hospital. They picked me to speak. And so I introduced myself to Dr. Samara, and he's a kidney transplant surgeon, and he has a foundation that has a substantial amount of money that I want. And so I made sure that I went over and gave him my card to introduce myself. Hey, I'm Lorinda. I talked to you all before, because CareDx took me up to talk to him. And so I wanted to make sure my speech was good because I needed to show up. If he's going to be listening, speaking after me, I wanted to make sure that I gave a good presentation. So, but I've looked at Nora's house, Abby, and that is something that I have been interested in because Amy's house is a little different. It's kind of like in the middle. It's not, it's kind of in the middle between Nora's house. Being Nora's is the best one that you can find, and then Amy's house is like in the middle. And so I'm looking at that, and we would like to do that here in Oklahoma. We're actually having a golf tournament October 26th at the Oak Tree Country Club, because my vision was if you can go play at the local golf course, no one wants to come to your golf tournament, but if you could go to play golf at a country club that no one can go to, they're all going to want to come. And so I wanted to make sure that when we started off right, because I know that's how you get the buy-in from your sponsors of the golf tournament. And our focus is going to be on donors. And so every hole have a donor. And we're looking at, talking about, more the pediatric and the diversity side of donors, and really displaying that and having that conversation with people. So that's just a little bit about what we're doing. So we stay busy. We have like I said, we have our meetings, and we have people come in from Tennessee to our peer-to-peer meeting. We have people came in from Connecticut, people from San Francisco. And we've had a couple from LA come in. And it's just because we have a meeting every week and you don't have to leave your house. And so the thing is a pre-transplant person doesn't want to leave their house because they're sick.
Right.
And a post-transplant person is here and they talk to each other, and it's just a beautiful thing. And we have a dietitian that sits in, and that's it. And we have a moderator. So
is it a Zoom meeting or
it is.
your peer-to-peer?
It is.
Okay.
I've
I'll send you
attended the
the meeting
meeting.
ID. Anyone can come to it.
I've attended some of their meetings. I gotta tell you, they're really well done. Patients are very supportive of each other. How to model that at a national level, I'm not sure yet, but it certainly is something that there's a need out there. And Trio Oklahoma is a model of a new format of
I
a
think
Trio
that's-
chapter.
I think that's awesome. So how would I get on to see how it goes?
Actually, I can put the meeting ID and information in the chat, and you can, it's every Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30. Meeting ID and password never changes because sick people cannot remember meeting IDs or passwords. Neither can
I can't
photograph
see-
people. Neither can post translate people, so we keep it to the same.
Well, that's awesome. Well, thank you, Lorinda.
You're welcome.
So
And-
Steve, you mentioned that you've got your chapter meeting tomorrow. Anything you'd like to let us know about what you guys are doing?
Well, let's see. We haven't had a picnic in probably 3 years, or at least 2. And we're talking about doing one this year. And when our chapter board has gotten together, that's been the primary topic that we've been working on. So I'm sure we'll be talking about that. Couple other things I wanted to point out. Jim, you mentioned, or maybe it was you, Gary, about you were going to do a presentation on the Perth Games in San Diego.
Mhm.
And I was curious if there's going to be an assortment of presentations going on there. And if so, whether we're going to have a PTC one.
Good idea. I haven't made any arrangements for that, Steve, but as usual, you come up with a good idea. We will follow through on that. We're trying to do an ad in the magazine that comes out at the games time, a full page ad promoting not only PTC, but also our chapters as far as membership goes. And secondly, that concept of having an accompanying article on the facing page about our post-transplant cancer project. So it certainly does make sense, and I know they're open to those ideas. And since I'm going to be there and you're going to be there, we could really team up and do that. You did a workshop once before on that, and I've still got your slides up on the national website, for example. So thank you for that reminder.
Sure.
Is
And
San Francisco still involved with the team up there? You used to be the banking for the transplant games team. You still do that?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
One last thing that I'd like to get some opinion on from all the chapter presidents. I got a call maybe about a week or 2 ago from someone from a outfit whose name is Pride, and their mission is to create employment for people with disabilities. And they got my name apparently on some website that still listed me as the president of the San Francisco chapter. And I invited them to send me stuff, although frankly, in our meetings and whatnot, I can't remember anyone's, conversation gearing toward, hey, I can't find a job. And the reason is the transplant. And so I wasn't sure what to do with it. And I was curious among the other chapters, one, if you've seen this come up in your chapter, and 2, whether you ever thought about getting involved with, employment opportunities for TRIO members as something that your organization would do. So I'm just querying. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go to from here with this.
Steve, let me just throw an idea out to you. I'd love to talk to whoever that is. Maybe we can do a video interview with them and put that in our library, because it is an important topic. I personally mentored some patients who were interested in that. My answer to them is it depends upon the patient.
as to whether they want to talk about their transplant as part of the interview process, for example. In some cases, it can be a very strong asset of something that the patient has overcome in life challenges. In other cases, it could be seen as liability.
Yes.
It all depends upon the patient and how they present that. So it's not a clear yes or no answer, but that's been my experience. And I'd love to talk to these people to see if they'd like to promote their service in a discussion, and maybe we'd have a panel to go with that. But back to your question to the others, whether this has ever come up in their experience.
Steve, this is Abby in Austin. Was it Pride Industries?
Yeah.
Okay, I just looked them up.
Okay. I wasn't sure if they're strictly California or if they're everywhere.
I put the link in the chat. It looks like they might be a national organization.
Okay.
I don't see.
Thank
Wow.
you.
Yeah, it looks like they pretty much are all over the place, from aerospace to hospitals, hotel and casinos, retail, education, food and beverage. Work with Pride Foundation. About us. It's interesting.
Have you ever had this come up at your meetings, Abby?
No, never heard of them until today.
But the issue about, someone
the
looking
issue.
for work.
It has, somebody did ask me, especially post-transplant patients, they're like, well, I really can't go back to this job because it's, exposing myself to
Sure.
too many people. I can't work at the airport anymore. I can't be a waitress anymore. And so a lot of these people I've been sending to the local community college because they do offer programs for free, free associate's degrees for, various jobs. And so I've been sending some patients to those types of, either on the job training or actual classes to take. But it doesn't come up often. That's why it's, easier for me to just say, you should probably contact this community college. They have a program to help you learn a new skill and take some classes.
Isn't that what BVR does though? The Bureau of Vocational Rehab? If you like, because I was on disability and got my transplant and then not disabled. In the Bureau of Vocational Rehab, that's what they do. Is they provide training, they help you look, and they helped me go to college. They actually helped me all the way through my master's degree. They don't do that anymore. Just saying. But that's how I got my degree, because I really don't think I could have gone back to just, being a cashier, house cleaning, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think that, that's the organization that's supposed to be there to do that. But
yeah, there's folk rehab that can help them help them navigate that process.
Yeah, vocational rehab programs vary greatly by state. That's really a function of the commitment that the state government wants to make to that kind of a program. When I worked for the National Kidney Foundation, that we did a study, or I shouldn't say we, I wasn't really part of it, but they looked quite extensively at different states around the country, and some had great programs and some barely had an office where someone answered the phone. So there was a lot of opportunity for social, for nonprofits, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, to get into this area to try to help those people with disabilities. And certainly recipients, they technically qualify, but oftentimes there's, again, it's all over the map, but a lot of recipients don't want to consider the fact that they're, disabled, quote unquote. So anyway.
Gary, that's been my experience a couple of times where we had events and brought in patients to talk about things like that. The mother, very upset that anybody expected her 18-year-old son to work. He's a kidney recipient. And it's an attitude that sometimes families have that, hey, once you had a transplant, you certainly can't expect it to be living a productive life. And sometimes it's those very meetings that open up the eyes to people. Hey, after you get through recovery, you get back to normal living. You certainly should be able to have a productive life. Oh, but I've got all those medical visits I have to do. No, you don't. After you get out a year or so, you don't have any more than the average patient does. Average person, not patient. I mean,
Right.
everybody gets to see a doctor once or twice or 3 times a year for one reason or another, especially as you get older. So those excuses need to be exposed so people can open up to the opportunity and evaluate their own situation, of course. But
Yeah.
you're right, there's a lot of opportunity there.
Because that wasn't my case in my first transplant. I had to say that was the worst experience. I was sick all the time.
And that it's
all
a
the
very
time.
individual thing. I totally agree with
Yeah.
you, Abby. And I never want people to feel badly about the fact that they can't. But at the same time, there are people who are disabled as opposed to really being challenged post-transplant. Everyone is different. Absolutely.
Everybody is different. That's true.
So Jackie, here next on my screen, what's going on with you all?
Okay. So we started. We tried to do virtual stuff, but most of the people that we were already connected with are not computer literate, and I thought I was, but it was actually my husband. And after he passed, like I realized how much he did. So between me and Pat and Richard, it's just been the three of us. And we started meeting at TG. I was like, we just got to get started. So we started meeting at TGI Fridays once a month. Our next meeting will be on Monday, this coming Monday. And most of the last 6 months since we started doing that, it's just been the three of us. It's just the three of us. But a couple of times we've gotten another person to be there. And one time we had a couple and another person. So now we have this fourth person that's coming. And I think just because we're getting started again or back in the swing of things, we might have a person that's waiting for a heart transplant come this Monday. 2 other people that Pat knows come. Somebody that is Richard's wife in a quilting group, and she knows somebody. So it was just like, it's just like, but I felt like it was just, we had to just get out there and do it every month and be there. And the people at TGI Fridays are wonderful, that they love us. They aren't real busy, this one that we go to, so they like that we come in. And Monday nights are not a busy night. So that's kind of what we're doing. And we're just trying to get, because, we lost a lot of people this last couple of years. And I was supposed to do the tax stuff because I was the most computer literate of everybody. And we didn't have the right EIN number. We had 2 different EIN numbers. Neither one of them worked on that form. And then I went back through the old files and I found from years ago, Mary, who's no longer with us, had filed for that exact tax thing. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah, 990, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she had a 3rd EIN number.
Gosh.
And that one worked. Someone's like, okay, guys. And Pat's like, but this is the one the bank has. And so I'm really not sure what we're going to do about the 3 different EIN numbers that we have, or how we ended up with 3 different ones. But we were able to file that 990, and I'm really happy about that. So we're just kind of struggling along, trying to get something going. I think, Pat, we're gonna do the Life Banks walk this summer at the zoo in Cleveland. And she has a team that's been there before, Liver Dance. So we're talking about that. And I guess it's just little baby steps to get us kind of back and known.
Yeah, sure. Well, it is a really good idea to have like sort of like Lorinda does it every week, but to have a once a month time, like where people can start to count on it, so to speak, or at least know that it's happening. And certainly getting in front of people like with the Life Bank Walk, like you were saying, that's
Yeah.
gonna give you access to a lot of other people who might be interested in what Trio does. That's great.
Just
So
a
we're-
question, Jackie, in that walk, do they have an opportunity for organizations to have a table to promote their cause? I know here in Philadelphia, they have a great big event, which is a walk run, but there is a big social area where Trio promotes, and so do the hospitals and a lot of other organizations too. Do you have that opportunity?
Yes, but it's just the three of us.
Only takes one.
But
Only takes one.
we might, I don't know what Cleveland Trio is gonna do, because they might be there as well. So I feel like we need to coordinate more with like Cleveland, but they don't actually have meetings, Cleveland Trio, they just do events. So if we could coordinate with them, we might, so that's just something we're gonna talk about on Monday when we have our meeting.
Okay,
We'll
good.
talk about what do we, how do we want to be involved in this, and what do we want to do? And it's just like baby steps, getting ourselves back out there.
Yeah,
Sure.
good.
Cool. Well, last but not least, probably because you came last, David, how are things going for you?
Well, greetings from the sunny Northwest. Things are going very well here. We are actually going to be going down to San Diego in
Okay.
July. Throw our hat in the ring for others who will be going. But the key thing is we are still going great guns. We were going to have an all-night write-a-thon so we can finally release our website. We've added 3 more writers. So we decided we're going to do a pizza and drink effort and just get everybody, we're just going to punch it out because we have a ton of material. We just need to get it posted. So we're going to have an all-nighter. So we're going to be, by the end of the month, have this, our site up, which has been what people have been waiting on. The key thing is, we've added Rhea, our young woman who was working with us, and she's been pretty much the man as far as speaking at different youth organizations. And I want to reach out to other people in the different chapters, is to reach out to your youth organizations, because we are going to be sponsoring a video contest along with her, working in conjunction with the schools here who are already doing it. So their project is going to be interviewing trans recipients, their peers, what do they know about it, asking them questions that we can put up on our YouTube channel. What else? But that's the key element. I was going to comment on some of the other folks' activities. Even with 3 people, you can still do it. And the people I would reach out to in your area is to make sure you put your posters up everywhere in your community. We have 2 graphic artists who are making those posters now that we can distribute. And we ran the 3 people at Safeway here. So, and they turned out to be content writers who are very interested. So that, just as an outreach. The other, for the walk, people doing walks here, like many places, you get, because of their budgets of other reasons and their outreach, you can get 2,000 people to Cancer Walk or the Lupus Walk or what have you. Here we get 200 or 300, but I've reached out to the dog people. You get a dog walk, you get 500 people and associated pets. So, and they would love to be able to walk, particularly in the areas we have up here. So we're reaching out to, for example, the Greyhound rescue people. When they're rescuing pets, it's more than just a social event. They actually have a message they want to put out. As far as the fire department, oh yes, I was just reminded that I hate to say major effort, but I guess it will be a major effort. We did the story that we're going to put online probably this evening or tomorrow about the firemen here and a policeman who lost their lives in doing their duty. Well, they're also organ owners. And so not only going to post their story online here, but they love pizza. Who doesn't? So we're going to be working with a pizza, local, wonderful pizza folks out of Oregon. We're going to be working with a pizza group and firemen out of Alaska, where they actually were, and also here in Seattle. And we're going to recreate the picture of them sitting around having their pizza and encouraging them and everyone to come. And we get, there's going to be a fundraiser, so people are going to come and have a chance to donate and register at the same time. Register, have a slice. So that's our effort. And and as far as that other area, Jim and Gary, we're working on that. So everything is moving forward.
You're gonna have Seattle style pizza, David?
Oh, no, this is gonna be good pizza. Yeah, no, there are some good pizza places here. Yes. How can you not have a good pizza when you're talking about real natural ingredients? Fresh vegetables and even one for those people who are vegetarians and those that meat and
Lots of
it's good.
vegans up here.
what?
Lots of vegetarians.
And a lot of vegetarians up here and plant eaters.
Yeah,
So,
I was thinking kelp.
And kelp is always good, if you can use it in your toothpaste, what's wrong? And matter of fact, I was reminded, we're going Saturday and we just got a table. Karen was kind enough to procure us a table. And now they're opening up here. And we're going to be at the Dahlia Festival and Tulip Festivals, which are opening up now.
And
Wow.
blankets.
But I was also reminded, thank you very much, you should tell them this, is last month, there's a new dialysis center open in my neighborhood, Jim, across the street where we had breakfast.
Yeah.
And we're going to be part of their opening. And we're going to be, Karen's been working diligently, working little fingers to the bone here. I wanted to bring back slave labor, but you can't do that. But we'll be making blankets. And to show you how one area we can blossom into something more, when we spoke, as we do at our monthly social workers meeting, we found out from the community center, we're gonna have show and tell. I'm gonna back up, hold up. This is Karen, and these are
This
her
is a
blankets
blanket.
she's making.
Oh,
It's a
those are
flannel.
the flannel
I'm
tarp.
fleece, I'm sorry, fleece, double layer fleece, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
really warm and it's long and wide, so it covers everything. Yeah. He's
And-
already tested it out.
Yes, I have. I'm just trying not to wear it out. But it's warm and it's a great blanket. We're gonna be working with the community center. They want to know at one of our local churches, can they help join us? And they said they've run out of space. They have plenty of space. So we're gonna be combining this church effort with one of the community centers, getting seniors involved.
We have other blanket
And
makers.
other blanket makers coming up. We're gonna have our youth group be making blankets. And when they open dialysis center,
Already here.
we're gonna be presenting these blankets to the patients. And
Very
start
good,
with-
David. We're running out of time, so
Oh, sorry,
we're gonna
go
move
ahead.
on.
We're
Joy
done.
just joined
we're
us,
done.
and I got Team Philadelphia Trio Philadelphia to report on. So Joy, we're talking different chapters. Gary's leading this. What's going on in your chapter?
So we're very busy putting up our new website, and we're very just excited. We just found out that we might have reclaimed our number. So that's really exciting. So I'll update you, Jim, as soon as possible, so that could be documented. We're also doing lots of flag raisings. One of the doctors actually was wonderful. He actually coordinated one with his town mayor, and we had a flag raising at the steps of Town Hall yesterday. A lot of our hospitals are doing flag raisings where TRIO members are participating and speaking. One of our members works at a restaurant and had an awareness event there. And it was just really nice just to build awareness. And so we're trying to do lots of different things. We also look forward each and every month to try to have a new activity for all types of members. I have to say, it's difficult making everybody happy. But I always tell people that say, well, why did you do that? Well, everything is not for everybody, and you pick and choose what you want to attend and participate in. And so when we had our end of year event, an example of that is that some people felt we shouldn't do it. Some people felt we shouldn't do the Rose Garden rededication, but we try to make everybody happy. And during COVID, we try to do as much outdoors. So thanks for letting me share. I'm sorry it's a little bit late. We have double meetings after, and our meeting ended. We have our regular general meeting, and then we had a Rose Garden committee meeting. And our general meeting lasted longer than usual.
Joy, that's exciting news. I know you've been very challenged there in Long Island. Gary, maybe I can just wrap up and give you a quick
sure.
overview for TRIO Philadelphia. And I'm going to share a screen here by way of sharing with part of that story. And here you see recently, in fact, 2 years now, the chapter has raised $1,000 to help the Organ Procurement Organization support a meal. They cook home cooked heroes, they call it. And you can either go in and make a meal for the 30 families that are staying here, or you can donate $1,000. And in the COVID restrictions, we've chosen to donate the $1,000. And this was picture taken just 2 days ago when we finally got our plate. And I don't know if you can see the cursor pointing to the plate that has the TRIO tree on it. But that's our second year of giving them $1,000. And there's Bill Soloway, who was not able to make the meeting here tonight. So I'm sitting in for him. And you see Bob Goodman, Bill Soloway, and I are all going to be at the games. And you notice we have TRIO Philadelphia shirts, which was something Bill introduced a year or so ago. And so we're out there very active with the Organ Procurement Organization, raising $1,000 for the scholarship program yet again. And we've got a small chapter, but it's very active with a good, strong board. So that's basically what I can report for TRIO Philadelphia. Gary, back to you.
Well, that's great. It's great to, hear everything that's going on with everyone. It's, it's super. Just wanted to remind everybody that we have one of our next master webinars coming up. Jim, when is it? On
May
the 11th?
11th.
May 11th. And it's going to be about social media. So hopefully that will be a topic that's of interest to people. We are coming up with our subject matter expert now, and we'll be able to kind of promote that a little bit coming up in the next, hopefully in the next
Do you want to
week.
mention the national focus on social media and what we've just done there? Hiring a social media expert to manage our social media.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. So yeah, well, TRIO National has moved ahead with actually putting some funds into promoting TRIO's national social media effort. And I'm very happy to say that actually Abby is the person that we hired to help us. So she's been great. We've had some great early results that's shown a tremendous increase. We were starting from a very low point, so it's percentages are a little meaningless, but she's been doing a great job, and things seem to be getting better every week. And as the months go by, I'm sure we'll see some really great things. So yeah, looking forward to that. Great. Okay, well, if there's nothing else for the good of the cause, I want to thank you guys all for giving an hour of your evening and
Thank you.
whatever. And thank you for your feedback on the financial report. Again, we won't be dealing with that until the end of the year, but I do appreciate the input. And if there's nothing else, we can say thanks again. Good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good
night.
night.